Hi folks, it's the FPL General here again, recording episode 30 of my 59th minute FPL podcast. Recording on Thursday morning, the 4th of April, so double game week 32 is just finished last night. And I'm going to look ahead mainly in this podcast to blank game week 33, so it's a pretty quick turnaround. Trying to get this out a little bit earlier, and I'm going to probably keep it a bit shorter than usual as well, just to get a bit of some of my thoughts out there before the weekend. It's a Friday deadline this week, 7 p.m. UK, so don't get caught out by that one. I'm pretty sure it's Friday deadline for the next 2 game weeks, so keep that in mind. Don't be that person who misses the deadline. So I managed to escape most of the double game week. I was on holiday for a couple of days with my wife in Jersey, so didn't watch too many games, which was a good thing really, because things went absolutely terribly on my free hit up until last night. So going into the Wednesday night games, I was looking at about a 80,000 red arrow, which is not what I was looking for on free hit. But thankfully last night Laporte, Kepa and Hazard saved me, and I managed to get my first green arrow since January 30th. So a cause for celebration there. A very small green arrow. I think I finished on 83 points. Went from about 460k to 440k, so about 20,000 places. But I'll take it. Hopefully it's a turning point, one step in the right direction. Hopefully it's the first green arrow of 7 to finish out the season. But yeah, pretty disappointing free hit in general, really. Looking at some of the scores on Twitter today, a lot of people well over the 100 mark, so well done if you did join the 100 club this week. As I mentioned, Laporte and Hazard really saved me. The only other positives were Aguero obviously got 20 points as captaincy. Frustrating to see him get injured, but that was probably even more frustrating for those who used triple captain this week on him. Sterling disappointing. The Man United lads let me down big time. I ended up going double United defence. In hindsight, obviously, people are asking me why did I do that, but the decision really came down to Milivojevic or an extra United defender, and I just really didn't fancy going for Milivojevic, banking on his penalties. But obviously now, looking back, that was the right thing to do. So disappointing to, Lindelof missed the first game, and Smalling obviously managed to get an OG just to rub salt in the wound. So those two let me down big time. And Pogba as well, only 4 points over the 2 games. Very disappointing from him. I've got a question on him later, so I'll come back to Pogba. Schlupp, 7 points. Didn't really expect much more from him, so that was decent. And then up front, I won't say 2 donkeys, I'll say 1 donkey. Higuain, ended up going Higuain. Had a strong gut feeling going into the game week that he would do well in the 2 fixtures. And again, hindsight, that was the wrong decision. Didn't play at all the second game. But yeah, just, I always act on my gut feeling, and I did have a strong gut feeling for Higuain, so I didn't want to go into the game week without him and then regret not getting him. But obviously I shipped out, I had Batshuayi as well, so disappointing that he didn't get anything. And obviously I shipped out, my very final decision for the free hit was to keep Jimenez or to get Batshuayi, and I just took a chance given where my rank was this season to try and go against the grain, and get in a lowly owned player and bank that he would outscore Jimenez. And the only game I watched over the double game week was United against Wolves, and it was extremely painful. Number 1 as a United fan, and number 2 as someone who sold Jimenez and had Smalling, Lindelof and Pogba. So that was an absolute nightmare. So well done to anyone who held on to Jimenez. I feel dirty for betraying him. I'm looking forward to having him back now for the rest of the season. He's a real gem. I think Wolves are going to complete the permanent signing of him today as well, or at least in the next couple of days. So he's been the real star of FPL this season. So what I'll do in this pod, just going to mention some of the players I'm looking at for blank 33. Take a few Twitter questions and then just mention the captaincy and 1 or 2 other things at the end then as well. So I'll keep it short and snappy this week. I know there's not much time to get this consumed. There's a lot of podcasts out there for the next day or 2 as well, so I won't ramble on too long. I'm going to activate my wildcard on Friday night after the Liverpool game. So I've got 1 free transfer now going into the blank. So it's a week where anyone who's like me and is going to wildcard for 34, you can take a 1 week punt. You can bring in a player for 1 week, whatever happens, you can get rid of him again on wildcard. So I've been, like many people, I've been planning for the blanks for quite a few weeks. So I'm well set up for the game week. I've got 11 players as it stands. Question marks over Felipe Anderson, Adam Smith. So what I'm most likely going to do is probably sell Anderson. I don't really want to have him anyway for that Chelsea fixture. He's been a nightmare this season for many of us. So most likely what I'll do on Friday is get rid of Anderson. So a couple of players on my watch list I'm looking at are Aaron Ramsey at Arsenal. I think he did pick up a slight knock in that Newcastle game on Monday night, so I need to look into that on Friday. I was surprised to see that Ramsey got the captain's armband in that game. A player who is leaving the club in the summer to join Juventus. But that's a good sign for FPL. I think that Emery is showing faith in him, especially with the armband. So I think that bodes well for his game time between now and the end of the season. He scored 2 goals in his last 3 starts. So he's got a bit of form going into that Everton fixture this weekend. So I do like Ramsey this week if he's fit. I think that's where I'll most likely go if Mr. Dinnery gives me the green light on his fitness. A couple of other options here as well, because I know a lot of people are probably going to be looking at midfielders this week more than other positions. So Fraser and Brooks are always worth considering. They play Burnley at home. So Burnley are scrapping for their lives, so that kind of slightly puts me off the Bournemouth lads, who are possibly on the beach, like Anderson and co. So I'm not overly keen on Fraser and Brooks this week, but I could still see them scoring well in that game. Sigurdsson is another one who I'm thinking about. The fixture is not ideal. It's Everton Arsenal, but Sigurdsson is always an option. I think he's got set pieces and he's got penalties in his locker. So as a 1 week punt, I don't think Sigurdsson is the worst shout this week. So he's in my thoughts as well for an Anderson replacement. A couple of others. I'm already tripled up on Leicester, so I've got Barnes, Vardy and Pereira. But if I wasn't tripled up, I think Tielemans would be high on my wanted list this week. Pretty sure he's got 5 attacking returns in his last 5 games, so he's delivered in every game. So really real consistency there from the Belgian. So I really like Tielemans. Very impressed with him from what I've seen as well under Rodgers. A classy player. I think he's on loan, and Leicester will do well to sign him on a permanent basis. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of clubs interested in him around Europe. That's if he doesn't just go back to, I think it's Monaco he came from. Another midfielder to throw in is Almiron. Hasn't done an awful lot, but the potential is definitely there for him to do well. And again, a 1 week punt, it's not the worst shout in the world this week against Crystal Palace. So that's my thoughts on midfielders. Most likely I'll probably go Ramsey. If he's not 100% fit, or it doesn't look like he'll play 100%, I may just go Sigurdsson for 1 week. Where else? On my watch list, moving to the other positions then. If anyone's looking for a goalkeeper this week, Kepa is a decent shout, I think, against West Ham. Schmeichel as well, I think, against Huddersfield, if you don't already have 3 Leicester. Defenders, I'm not really looking to bring in a defender. I'm well covered in that area this week. Kolasinac is an option, Azpilicueta, who did very well in the double game week. Up front as well, a lot of people are probably looking at Lacazette or Aubameyang this week. They've got a double game week on the horizon as well. I've got Vardy and Wilson up front. I'm pretty happy with those two, so I'm not looking for a striker this week. But Lacazette and Aubameyang definitely worth considering for that Everton fixture. Wilfred Zaha as well. I think he could do well. I think he got 2 assists during the double game week. Rondon possibly as a 1 week punt. Josh King as well. I've got Wilson, so fully expecting a Wilson blank again and another Josh King brace. So if you're looking for a striker, maybe you should go for Josh King. So that's really just a couple of players to throw out there for blank game week 33. I'll talk about captaincy now, and then I'll come back to some of the Twitter questions. So I put a poll on Twitter last night for this podcast. I just put up 4 options for captaincy. I put up Hazard, I put up Salah, Mane and Jamie Vardy. Now Twitter, it's annoying on Twitter. You can only include 4 options in those polls, because if there was more, I would probably throw in the Arsenal lads, Lacazette and Aubameyang there as well, and maybe 1 or 2 others like Callum Wilson. But those were the 4 I put up. I just felt they're probably the 4 best options this week. A lot of people will probably argue maybe the Arsenal lads are better options than Vardy, but I think Vardy away to Huddersfield is a very good option for captaincy this week. He's currently my vice captain. I think I've got a question later about possible triple captaincy on Vardy, so I'll come back to Vardy. The results of that poll, first of all, where Hazard got 34%, so he was first. Then Salah came second with 25%, Mane 23%, and Vardy got 18%. So not an awful lot between the votes this week. So Hazard came out on top, most likely because I put the poll up just after the Chelsea game last night, and he scored very well in that one. So that's always going to be a factor in those votes. But that is where my armband is at the moment. I'm on Hazard captain. He has, he's frustrated me in the past as captaincy. But the big pull factor here is the fixture. West Ham are pants. They've been awful the last couple of weeks. If there is a team on the beach already, it has to be West Ham. So I really like this fixture for Chelsea. I think they should win it comfortably. And I think I'm going to back Hazard over the likes of Salah, Mane and Vardy for this one. Salah and Mane, the Liverpool fixture is they play Southampton away Friday night. I think that could be a tricky fixture for Liverpool. I know I heard on one of the other podcasts, I think it was Planet FPL, I think it was James that was mentioning that he feels that this Southampton fixture could be one of the trickiest fixtures Liverpool have left this season, and I tend to agree with him on that. Southampton are fighting for their lives, and Southampton have been playing pretty good stuff in recent weeks, and churning out a few results. So I can see Southampton frustrating Liverpool and giving them a good game Friday night. So that kind of puts me off Salah and Mane. Salah's form puts me off him anyway, and Mane, he's been excellent this season. He is hot and cold. I know you can say the same about Hazard. Mane used to play for Southampton as well, so maybe that's, I don't know, some people think that's extra motivation, some people say maybe it's not a good thing. So I think if I was going for a Liverpool captain, it would be Mane this week. I think his form justifies that over Salah, but I am going to stick with Hazard, I think, and I'm probably going to vice captain Vardy then, because I think Vardy's got 5 in his last 5. Huddersfield are already relegated, so you would fancy Leicester to continue their good form. I think they're going for 4 wins in a row, so I fully expect Leicester to beat Huddersfield comfortably as well. So Vardy definitely in with a shout for the armband as well. That brings me back now to the Twitter questions. I've picked out 4 or 5 here that cover some of the main hot topics at the moment. So the first one came in from Frank Walsh. He just simply said, looking at form and value, is it justifiable now to go without Salah and Kane on a wildcard? It's the guts of 26 million for 2 players who are just trickling returns. A related question then as well from Bobby Bentley, is it time to say goodbye to Salah? So I'm going to be playing my wildcard Friday night, and I really haven't given it too much thought yet, but initial thoughts are players, highly priced players like Salah and Kane who are not delivering for the price tag. There's a very good chance I'll go without them on my wildcard. I'll probably go with Mane and ditch Salah. And likewise with Kane, I much prefer the value that Heung-min Son offers. He proved it again in the double game week. So more than likely I'll go Mane and Son. And then there's big question marks over Salah and Kane when it comes to my wildcard. It's just, as Frank said, the guts of 26 million for 2 spots, and they're not delivering. So more than likely I'll go without Salah, but I do feel, with the upcoming fixtures, there's a good chance I will include Harry Kane in my wildcard. We've seen it, in previous seasons. This is the time of the year where he starts banging in the goals in that race for the Golden Boot. Very surprised he didn't get on the score sheet in the new stadium. I thought that was written in the stars, but I still think Kane will score heavily between now and the end of the season. So I'm more keen on Kane than I am on Salah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to activating that wild card and getting rid of all the donkeys that I have in my team at the moment. Next question was from Mr. Dave McNutt. Great name. His question was about Pogba. So simply, Pogba, keep the faith? Question mark. And I just had a look back at Pogba's recent numbers. So the points he's got in the last couple of game weeks, he got 3, 5, -1, 1, 2 and 2. So again, another player who is out of form and not justifying inclusion in our teams at the moment. I kept him for the double game week, very disappointing. And I didn't keep him for the double game week. I brought him back in because I sold him for Mane in game week 31. So that turned out to be a good transfer. But I brought him back in the free hit then, and it was pretty disappointing that he only got 4 points. So I don't see myself going back to Pogba for the rest of the season. Just watching that United game against Wolves, it was a typical old style Pogba under Mourinho. You know, throwing tantrums on the pitch, blaming the other players around him when he himself was one of the poorest United players on the pitch. Offered very little. You know, didn't offer much in attack. Lots of misplaced passes. So he does seem to be playing a lot deeper now. So I'm no longer interested in Pogba. So I think when it comes to wildcard, the only United asset I'll probably be interested in is probably Marcus Rashford. Again, offers a lot better value than Pogba does. So yeah, I think Pogba, obviously if you have him, it's a bigger question. I don't have him, I'm not going to get him back. But if you have him, I think there is a strong case to be made for shipping him now, given his current form. Next question was from FPL Green Arrow Chaser, another great name. He's asking about the Leicester defence. Is a Leicester defensive double up for game week 33 worth it? So yeah, I think if I wasn't already tripled up on Leicester, I would be looking at tripling up and possibly double defence. I've got Pereira. Very frustrating to see him deliver, I think it was 8 points during the free hit. Lots of my players I got rid of delivered on free hit, but that's often the case. So I like Pereira this week. I also like Ben Chilwell this week. So I really like that double up of the two Leicester fullbacks for the Huddersfield fixture. I think they could both score very well. So I do like the Leicester double up in defence if you can do that. Last question I will take is from Jay Ray. Is Vardy worth a triple captaincy against a relegated Huddersfield? So I mentioned Vardy is a good shout for captaincy this week, I feel. But for me, I still feel I've still got my triple captaincy chip. I'm going to have to play it in a single game week. I just don't feel very warm about using it on Vardy this week. Yes, Huddersfield are relegated, but we often see once a team has nothing left to play for that the shackles come off and they can improve. You know, they can just enjoy themselves. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Huddersfield put in a good performance against Leicester. But I'm just not feeling the triple captaincy just yet. I don't really like Vardy for it this week. But I mean, don't let me put you off if you are considering it. He could easily bang in 2 or 3 goals in that fixture given his current form. And Leicester are in good form. So yes, I think with triple captaincy, I do like playing it in a home fixture more so than an away fixture if it's a single game week. So I'm still eyeing up possibly someone like Harry Kane, game week 36 or 38. Haven't ruled out using it on Salah, but again, most likely I'm going to lose him on the wild card. So maybe Mane will be in the running for my triple captaincy, but I still like the idea of using it in 38 when games are often pretty unpredictable and high scoring. So if you nail it on the last day of the season, it's pretty sweet if you're in your mini leagues. Pass someone out on the last day. I've seen a couple of people mention Hazard triple captain this week against West Ham, and I actually don't think that's the worst shout, given how poor West Ham are. Hazard found a bit of form during the double game week, so again, by the time tomorrow night comes around, maybe that's something I'll give more thought to. My season is in the toilet at the moment anyway, so I have absolutely nothing to lose. So triple captaincy Hazard, maybe I'll give it a bit of thought tomorrow. See how I feel when I wake up tomorrow morning on that one. But most likely I'll hold off and wait probably for maybe game week 36 or 38 with that one. Cheers for the questions as always, folks. 1 or 2 things to mention just before I wrap up. As always, I will be taking part in the Grand Weekend tournament on Fantasy Bet this weekend. I've also put an article together for the Fantasy Bet blog this week. It's about 1 week punts. With a lot of people on wildcard this week, I've put together 5 potential punts that you can take this week, and I've also put together a differential 11. So a few more options in that article, maybe that I haven't mentioned in this podcast. So I'll tweet that out when it's ready. It should go on the blog today sometime, I think. If you're playing on FancyBet, as always, it's 18 plus and begambleaware.org. I already mentioned it's a Friday deadline this week, so don't miss it. I'm doing a bit of travelling myself tomorrow, heading back to Ireland for a week, so I need to make sure I don't end up missing the deadline myself. Last thing to mention is my Patreon, so patreon.com/FPL General. We're into a new month now, the month of April. So the way Patreon works, if you sign up early in a month, it's the best time to sign up because you get a free trial essentially for the whole month of April, and you can try it out. So maybe if you are considering my Patreon offering for next season, the month of April would be a good time to give it a free trial. Sign up now. See what you think of it. Check out the Slack channel. Check out the WhatsApp group, the WhatsApp 1-to-1. You can just try it for the month of April, and as long as you cancel your pledge before the 1st of May, you won't be charged anything. So a good opportunity for people to try out Patreon. It's the Slack channel. I think is the best part of it. There's about 300 of us in there, conversing on a daily basis and bouncing ideas. And quite a good number of my patrons are enjoying their best ever FPL season. So that's always my aim for anyone who signs up to Patreon, is that you achieve your best ever FPL rank, and obviously to win your mini league. So quite a good number of those are, and I'll be doing some tweets at the end of the season, evaluating how my patrons have performed this season. And it's I'm happy to say that I'd say about 90% of them are performing better than me this season. So that's always a good thing. I think that's all I need to mention. Good luck in blank game week 33. I'll get a podcast recorded next week for game week 34. So as I said, I'll be activating my wildcard Friday night. So it'll be a wildcard special next week for next week's episode. So good luck for the game week and enjoy your weekend, folks.